You know that moment that you think you've mapped the whole treasure island and then someone flips the map over and there's an entire hidden coastline? Well, that's exactly what Ripple just did to my brain at the XRP Las Vegas. Now, here's a quick disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile and you could lose all the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. Your investments are entirely your responsibility, and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses. And this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Okay, so picture this, right? Day 2 of the conference. The hotel aircon is cranked high enough to keep penguins happy, and I'm kind of nursing an overpriced latte, while scrolling through memes about gas fees. Now, suddenly, reporter Vincent Scott hops on stage and asks Ripple's CTO David Schwartz whether Ripple's latest combo, RL-USD stablecoin, and the XRP token, and of course the XRP ledger itself, adds up to an actual financial system. Now, Schwartz didn't miss a beat. He leans into the mic and goes, yes, you can consider those things a financial system. Now, wait, a full stack crypto native financial system. Now that's like hearing kind of Elon Musk, casually confirms Mars has Wi-Fi. Now you could feel the room inhale. Phones shot up, everyone scrambled to tweet before the Wi-Fi melted. Now, if you're new to this particular rabbit hole, let me translate things, right? Ripple has been famous for cross-border payments, but those rails were just the outer shell. Inside, there are 3 pillars which are sliding into place. You've got RL-USD. This is a dollar-pegged stablecoin that just snagged Dubai's regulatory approval, meaning that institutions can actually touch the thing without sweating about compliance bullets. Then you've got XRP, right? The bridge asset that slashes gas tokens that pathfinding algorithms on the ledger always kind of reach for first. The XRPL, that is the open payments infrastructure that slings value around the world faster than you can order a shawarma. So when you put those 3 things together, you're not just wiring money, you're actually rebuilding the bank from the ledger up. And so why should you even care? Well, it's because the problem is huge, right? Cross-border payments are a $227 billion market this year, right? And still growing at around 7% annually. And they kind of remain very slow, I should say, fee kind of stuffed and allergic to, weekends. So even when my cousin wires tuition from Dubai to London, the bank kind of holds it hostage for 2 days and still charges a "we exist" fee. Stablecoins promise to grease that rusty pipeline, but most are either USDT, a digital Swiss Army knife with regulatory baggage, or USDC, White House approved but still US centric. So the entire stablecoin market cap, it hovers actually around $250 billion, meaning that there's plenty of headroom left in a $3 trillion market cap. RL-USD sliding into that space with institutional grade compliance is Ripple kind of raising its hand and saying, we'll take it from here, we're the grown-ups at the table, thanks. Okay, story time. My first RL-USD test after Schwartz's kind of bombshell, a dev kind of friend drags me to a side demo, right? Now, they've got a setup, or at least they have set up a sandbox where you can swap RL-USD for XRP, then ping XRP across the ledger to a buddy over in some other foreign country or distant land who flips it back into RL-USD in under 4 seconds. The fees are so tiny that I've actually paid more for an extra ketchup. Now, I try it with $20. Blink, done. Somewhere in a kind of Western Union, clerk kind of sheds a little tear down their cheek. But the juice isn't just payments, right? Schwartz told us that the XRPL is morphing into a supermarket. Stablecoins, tokenized real-world assets, even loan markets. And that comes from cryptotimes.io. Now, picture parking your RL-USD as collateral, right? Borrowing tokenized Thai baht, swapping that to pesos, and paying a supplier without, or I should say all without, even logging off the ledger. Now, that's kind of like turning the financial Swiss Alps into a travelator. Now, there's always that one skeptic at the back, right? And you've got to cue Ricky Tan, a community OG who loves to kind of poke holes in things. Now, he asks if all of this love for other assets dilutes XRP. Now, Schwartz counters that, counters with, I should say, that XRP is still the only asset that every XRPL account can hold by default, and the exclusive fee token. Plus, auto-bridging favors pairs that include XRP, so liquidity still flows through the mothership, if it will. Again, cryptotimes.io reported on this. Now, in other words, what's going on here is that Ripple just enlarged the stadium, but kept XRP as the grass that every play has to be run across. Now, here are some numbers that made me spit out my drink. Regulators in Dubai gave RL-USD the green light barely 48 hours before the Vegas panel, reinforcing the UAE's 55% year-over-year boom in institutional stablecoin transactions. Now, that is not hype. That's a single institutions I should say it's a signal, right? And the institutions, they love two things here, right? You've got compliance, checkboxes, and liquidity. Now, Ripple is basically dangling both like free Wi-Fi at an airport. Now, here is my aha moment, right? Mid-panel, I scribble a triangle, right? RL-USD, at the kind of top as the kind of unit of account. XRP at the left corner as the medium of exchange. And XRPL at the right as the infrastructure. Then it kind of clicked. I'm staring at crypto's answer to the dollar Fed wire Swift trifecta, but it's on a single chain. So if Bitcoin is digital gold and Ethereum is the world's computer, Ripple just pitched itself as the digital Federal Reserve. But maybe we need a bigger picture metaphor for this, because you've got to remember, right, when Apple quietly shipped the iPhone with an app store baked in, and suddenly every developer in a garage could code $1 billion company. Well, the XRPL, it kind of feels like that moment, only instead of games and dating apps, we're actually talking bonds, mortgages, loyalty points, and yes, your Starbucks balance, right? If developers pile in, RL-USD could be the default price tag, and XRP the swift conveyor belt, moving value behind the scenes. But like everything, there are some potential landmines. So let's keep our heads kind of clear here, right? We've got regulatory whiplash in bigger jurisdictions that could still throttle stablecoin adoption. You've got competing networks like Stellar, which are sprinting in the same kind of lane. And Schwartz himself admits it's nearly impossible to quantify how much of XRP's price is driven by on-ledger utility versus just pure speculation. But here is the kicker. Every time that Ripple kind of nails a compliance milestone, like Dubai, it lowers that uncertainty. And that is ultimately catnip for institutions that move billions of dollars. This isn't just meme coin flips. Okay, so here is my personal take home then. On the kind of flight back, if you will, my imaginary flight to Vegas, that is, my kind of seatmate asked if RL-USD will replace XRP. And it's the wrong framing, in my opinion, right? Think of RL-USD as the engine oil and XRP as the spark plug, right? One keeps things lubricated and the other ignites every cylinder, right? Remove either of them and the car kind of splutters. And for all of those fearing dilution, remember, Visa processes trillions, yet the dollar hasn't, magically devalued because merchant points exist, right? Diversity on ledger is a feature, it's not a bug. So here's a quick shout out, right? If you ever want to kind of dissect stuff like this, our free educational Discord server is buzzing 24/7. You can grab the link in the description down below, drop your hot takes, and maybe even flex your own TA charts. Just keep the coffee memes coming. Also, it's worth noting that a huge thanks to the Blowfin crypto exchange for supporting today's deep dive. There's an affiliate link in the description down below that directly supports this channel. So if you sign up and trade on the Blowfin exchange, you're basically buying me the next overpriced cafe latte, if you will, and I'm forever grateful. So remember, right, it's an affiliate link, so the channel earns a small commission at no extra cost to yourself. Okay, so let's wrap things up. Let's talk about Ripple and how it isn't just kind of tinkering with payments anymore. They're actually, soldering together a parallel financial stack, one pillar at a time. RL-USD, it anchors the stability. XRP pipes the liquidity, and the XRPL provides the rails. Add regulatory nods like Dubai, and suddenly what looked like a niche payments highway is turning into a global Autobahn. Will it dethrone SWIFT next year? Probably not. Will banks quietly explore connectors that slash fees from $30 to just a few cents? You can bet your cold brew that they probably will. And every pilot test inches us closer to a world where cross-border is just borderless. And so the next time that someone kind of shrugs off Ripple as the emittance coin, or remittance coin I should say, you got to remind them that remittances were merely just chapter 1. Chapter 2 includes loans, tokenized real estate deals, and a ledger that doesn't care if it's 3 a.m. on a Sunday.